welcome back to Urban X TV. I am Malcolm. I'm back here with DJ, the Money Coach. It's been a little over a month since our inaugural Family Finance 101 webinar that
almost a month to the day,
almost a
man.
month to the day that
My bad.
DJ was so gracious enough to put on, and we want to do this as a follow-up to let you guys know what the after effects. We're gonna show you some video testimonials, and he's just gonna tell you the benefits and what we have coming down the pipeline. So with that being said, don't forget to like this video, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. If you want DJ's information, it'll be in the description below. So without further ado, DJ, welcome back. Thank you.
Oh man, thank you for having me, and happy birthday coming up, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I got to get me some of that cake, and especially that bubbly. That
Yes.
bubbly looked really good.
It was.
It was making me thirsty.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. We're excited, man. It's actually it's a humbling experience, Malcolm. It's a humbling experience. I haven't had this type of experience. What do they call it? We have that. Trying to remember what the word is. When you have that inspirational experience. What do they call it? Is it esoterical? I don't even know if I'm using the proper word. But I was so humbled by the experience of talking to the people on the Urban X community. It reminded me when I first got into the business.
Right.
And what I mean by that is that I got into this business because I was tired of people who look like me getting taken advantage of.
Right.
And I talked about this with my mom. My mom was a victim of predatory lending. My mom was a victim of identity theft back in the early 90s. And my mom got her identity stolen. And she also was a victim of predatory lending in a mortgage situation with Countrywide Mortgages. And this was, I think, around about 91. So that was right after I had came out of college. And you felt vulnerable at that time. You know, I'm sitting up here seeing my mom getting raked over the coals on her house, get her identity stolen. And my mom's not a complainer. My mom just soldiered through. Everything's going to be okay. But me, I'm looking at, hey, you know what? This is a personal assault on us.
Right.
If I ever find myself in a situation to level the playing field, I'm going to bring the hammer down on these industries. So that kind of led me to thinking, out, in the future that hopefully I'll be in position to either financially better, help people out or gain knowledge to help people out. Because at that point in time, I was not in the financial service business. I was actually in the car business. So having had that experience, and then when I got my business started around about 2001, I started in my church. And I actually went through this course that was a faith-based program that was actually 8 weeks. It was a long course. It was by a program called Focus on the Family, which is a highly reputable pastor in America, a white pastor, matter of fact. And went through that course, and our church was primarily 80% black. We had some whites that attended our church, some Hispanics, but hadn't gone through that program. The people in our church, Malcolm, weren't able to sustain that 8-week course because it was long.
Right.
And it was like 2 hours every session you sat down. But me and my mentor and his mentor, we actually made it through the course. We went the whole 8 weeks, got some stuff done, and it opened up our eyes. I was like, man, dude, if I wasn't so seriously committed, it was like a college course. It was like a master's course. And I was like, man, you really have to be focused, disciplined to even go through this course. But at the end of the course, after it was finished, there was no help.
Right.
It was basically, they gave you the book. Guy came in and did a couple of, instructions and stuff. But then it was the church responsibility to find somebody in the church to carry out the program.
Got it.
So we basically went from having like 100 people go through the program, and within 2-3 weeks, it scaled down to like 20 people to end up finishing the program.
Wow.
And so that resonated to me. It was like, wow, there's a need, but it's too long and it's too much information, and we don't have the resources after it's finished to do the implementation of the program. You know, get the accountant, get the attorney, get the financial planner. We didn't have that. So I'm in my church and I'm like, man, I'm looking across and I'm like, man, okay, well, I wonder what these people are going to do. So about 2 years after that, I got into the business. And I got into business and I went right back to my church and I said, you know what? I'm taking this program and I know a way that we can consolidate this. We can take that 8 weeks and narrow it down to like 2 weeks. And matter of fact, we can narrow down the actual curriculum into one class. And when I started doing that, I started going out to small black churches. Then I started going to mega churches of all ethnicities and colors. And the same thing was prevalent every time, Malcolm. Every time. People did not know how to buy insurance. They didn't have wills. They didn't understand how our credit works. They didn't understand how assets work, but they were participating. And they would all have, especially in our community, they would have some type of life insurance policy that was whole life. Or they would have too much coverage on their auto coverage, their home coverage. And they were always short. They never had emergency fund.
Right.
They never had their Roth IRAs, didn't even know what a Roth IRA was, didn't know what an annuity was. And if they were young like yourself and they started a corporate job, they weren't fully participating in the corporate retirement plan. Just like myself.
Right.
I was a professional, graduated from college, and I was like, man, I need every dollar I can get because living in Chicago was expensive. Living in downtown Chicago was expensive. So I couldn't see the wherewithal of me putting $2 aside for the company to give me one free dollar. But as I started taking people through these programs and seeing people at 25, 45, and 65 specifically, seeing somebody work their whole life and they still had to work and they couldn't even afford where they live, it was disheartening.
Right.
And once we started to bring the program to them, we were able to start changing people's lives, where it was almost like we were just overwhelmed and inundated with people just calling us, needing help. Well, we had to hire more people. And so that's the same experience that I'm having right now.
Got it.
From the webinar. It's almost like I'm stepped back into the future, and here it is, people who are more educated. There's more information on the planet than ever before because there was no internet. You know, back then the internet was just getting started, but we weren't going on the internet, and it wasn't as fluid as it is now.
Right. That
people can just get on and get it. So I'm kind of was amazed that with all the information out there and these professionals, Malcolm, that they didn't know what was basic common sense, but they were in pursuit of the information, but they still didn't know what they didn't know.
Got it.
So that showed me and Melvin that, wow, principles are timeless.
Peace. This is Samuel Mackey, and I just finished my consultation with DJ the Money Coach, and I'm just going to tell you straight up, yo, yes, respect, thank you, helped so much, and I'm going to continue on with these because I want to get where he is. Do you understand what I'm saying? I want to get where he is. So thank you. It was amazing, and I can't wait to get started. Thank you so much, DJ. Thank you so much, Malcolm and Black Dot. Thank you. Yes. Peace.
So the stuff that we're doing in the course, breaking down the 5 rules of investing, breaking down how to buy insurance the right way, the cost per thousand, like you would buy a loaf of bread as a unit of measure, or a gallon of gas as a unit of measure, or just having a will in place, or knowing not to have insurance on your kid versus just having a rider, which costs like $30 versus you paying for a $200, policy. These simple things with people that we've worked with from these 2 webinars. We work with people who are truck drivers that had bad experiences, got a bad, start in life, but still found the way to make corrections in life and start building a family. We've worked with people who had 3 college degrees, architect's degree, engineering degree, designer degree. people working on their PhDs. And the common element was that they all didn't know the financial principles of success, not because they weren't intelligent,
Right.
not because they weren't in seek of it, but because it was not readily available to them, and they couldn't find somebody they could trust. Now, several of these people we work with made six-figure income, and they had sat down with some quote-unquote professionals and still was not getting the right information. So that's why I said it's kind of overwhelming and it's humbling at the same time, and it's a blessing that we were able to share with these people our experience of how things work and our knowledge to help make some corrections, of course. And then there's some people doing extremely well that needed to go to the next level that we normally work with, that Melvin and I normally work with.
Right.
And that was refreshing to say, wow, we got some successful brothers and sisters that are doing everything right, and they see the value of going to the next level. So that's what initially was a watershed moment of humility for Melvin and I.
Dope. So, based, what did you know? What did you see as the common theme? Because you, right after the webinar, you did consultations with how many people?
Man, over 30 people.
Over 30 people. So, what was like the common theme around what they needed from you?
The first common theme was nobody had a definable budget. That was shocking to me. I couldn't believe it. Nobody had a definable budget, meaning that a piece of paper, a spreadsheet, something that they kept up with on not only a weekly basis, but a monthly basis, and God forbid, a yearly basis.
Got it.
I mean, it had a person that was a project manager, and I'm like, well, you put together expensive projects for CVS, Walgreens, and the first thing you have is a plan. But in their personal finances, they didn't have that all figured out. They had something kind of a little bit,
right,
but they were so busy in their lives that they didn't have the time to stop and invest an hour a week and hold themselves to a budget because they were just so busy living life and trying to get ahead.
Right.
That stood out to me with just something as simple as that. And I told them, hey, you should take an hour a week and work on your budget, even if it's just 15 minutes a day. If you do that, you'll be so far ahead of everybody else, you wouldn't believe it. The second thing that stood out to me was the trap of student loans. We had people in our community, I could not believe this, a couple of $100,000 worth of student loans at my age. I mean, I would have thought that you paid your student loans off 10, 15 years ago. And then we had people at your age that had like $75,000, $85,000 worth of student loans. And we're talking about 30-year payoff plan.
Yeah.
Those were the two things that stood out to me the most. And you know what? Those are the two things that will keep you in trap. Where the conversation right now statistically says that the generation which is yours is going to be worse off than my generation for the first time in American history. Because they don't have a budget and they're enslaved with what's perceived to give you a better way in life with student loans, which is the biggest predatory lending facility on the planet, because student loans cannot be erased through bankruptcy. They go with you for the rest of your life unless you know the money codes, because I know how to get people out of student loans. But that wall of all of a sudden, and here's the other thing they didn't understand. A lot of them had forbearance, and they thought that the interest on the loan stopped while the loan was being not paid back. But they didn't realize it works like this trick commercial where I say, my grandfather told me, the big print giveth, the little print taketh away. So a lot of people had forbearances that actually almost doubled their original loan because they thought, you know what, I'm in school, I don't have to pay for 3 extra years, but that interest was compounding triple on it. I had a person that started out with like $25,000 worth of loans, end up having like 5 years later, like $45,000. And guess what? My wife fell prey to that when we first got married. And I told her, this ain't the way it works, because I fell prey to it when I first went to school.
Got it.
And I started reading the fine print. Oh yeah, we stop your loan, but the interest accrues and any penalties inside that, you have to pay those also.
Yeah.
So now, student loans used to be where you would get a student loan and you would have a term to pay it off, 10, 15 years. Now it's 30 years. Now it's 40 years. I had a person that their student loan was almost bigger than their mortgage note. But this was the only track that they've been taught. You see what I'm saying?
Right, right.
Because if you're a first generation college graduate, your parents don't know this stuff. Versus your peer who don't look like us, who parents pay for their college, give them a down payment on their house,
Right.
get them a job with their buddy, and they think that they're successful. And here it is, you and me, we're busting our ass. We're going to school for the first time. We're getting all kind of loans. And these people even have scholarships. They got to have room and board. And they're trucking behind. They say, well, you know what? Okay, if I have $40, $50, $100,000 worth of loan, I'm going to make that money. Then, all of a sudden, you can't get that job. And guess what's due immediately 6 months after you graduate? That loan.
Loans, yep.
And now that the loan's been privatized over the last 10 years, they purposely are collecting. And they're collecting in our community more than anybody because we can't get to the next level because of that. And that's what stood out to me, that would cripple our wealth transformational opportunity for our children and our children's children, just because that one vehicle called student loan.
Got it. Wow. Yeah. So, at this point, after doing the webinar, after having these consultations, what is the logical next step for you and the UrbanX community that you have been working with?
So the next step has been, and congratulations to the people who actually have taken the next step. It's actually subscribing to the team and saying, just like, let's use, sports analogy. You play football, right?
Right.
So you're a great athlete. And you talked about the story where your dad talked about the story where you had the partner who got pancaked, but he ended up getting pancaked by a dude who was NFL talent, right?
Yep.
So now it's to find out what team that can help you on the application process. Because information overload is actually worse than no information at all.
Right. Right.
So right now we're in the framework of actually working with people to say, you know what, Melvin, wow, I understand how my 403 works and I wasn't fully funding it. Can you do my asset allocation and work with me on a monthly or quarterly basis to get my stuff lined up? We actually had like 4 or 5 people who were either contributing to the 403B or the 401k or not, and then they didn't realize when they needed to do it, it's a season that you can enroll. So now the application process is like going to school. So I would equate most of the people we talk to is that they were at a kindergarten level of financial education, not their intelligence, but a kindergarten level. So now it's like, hey, let's set up with the team. Let's work either 30 minutes a month with you, 45 minutes a month with you, or an hour with you, and we come back with them, Malcolm, and bring them all the information because they got their plan, they got the answers to the financial encyclopedia.
Right.
Now they're excited. Now what you got to do is hold their feet to the fire if they're willing to, and start implementing the budget, start implementing the pay yourself first program. And all these people thought this was like, corny. Just simple as putting $50 aside.
Right.
But they can get excited. Then we're setting up a debt freedom date for them. And then getting out of consumer debt with their credit card. I had a gentleman last night, literally, we went online to geico.com and he had a car that was already paid for and it was like 10 years old. And he had full coverage. I said, well, why do you have full coverage? He said, well, that's all I know. We hopped on Geico, knocked off the full coverage, got him the complete liability coverage in a policy attachment called uninsured motorists. And what this is if I don't have insurance and I run into you, Malcolm, your policy will sue yourself so that your vehicle will be fully replaced and you will be fully replaced if something happened to you physically. Just that simple move right there. And we eliminated what's called personal insurance policy, which is like a health plan. We did those 3 moves and knocked off almost 50% of his insurance payment right there real time. He went from something like $90 a month to like $45.
Wow.
That's a $500 a year savings. And here's the kicker. He had been doing that where he should have stopped it like 7 years ago.
Wow.
So that's 500 times 7. That's $3,500. Guess what he could have done with that $3,500? He could have paid down some debt, started his emergency fund, got his Roth IRA. Something as simple as that.
You're right.
Could have been told, and here's what that person do from an implication standpoint. Your professionals you work with, they should be telling you this stuff versus trying to sell you commissionable products first. They should say, hey, Malcolm, do you know that you're 25, about to turn 26? You don't need a whole life policy. You got a car that's 12 years old, it doesn't need to be fully, covered for comprehensive, because guess what? If you go to CarMax and they value your car actual cash value, they're going to tell you it's only worth about $300-400. And if you get an accident, your insurance company going to fight you and only give you $200. So why are you giving the insurance company $700-800 a year? Because you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So that's the next step, is the implementation standpoint, and starting to apply and working with people who can work with you at your level. And then setting up a 90-day platform of what your life should look like 90 days from the webinar to the consultation to working with the team, and saying to yourself, I should see a 5 to 10 to 15% improvement in my whole financial construct that I can get excited about for the next 12, 24, 60 months of my life, that I'm going to be excited about grinding.
So how do you get people excited to actually take control of their financial life? Because a lot of people, especially when it comes to their money, they do what David Osborne calls like the ostrich effect, where they just want to put their head in the ground and not think about anything that's happening, especially when it comes to their money. They just like, I don't feel like looking at it.
Well, it works this way. When you're able to show, like, another person, Shirley, and she sent the testimony stuff. When you're able to show her that she's trying to do everything right, and then she had this insurance policy and this investment policy, and we're able to show her that she can improve her life by $30,000, $40,000 in the next 12 to 24, 36 months, just by 2 moves. That right there excites them enough. Because they can see the real world. We're not taking money out of their pocket, Malcolm. We're literally saying, here's $100, Malcolm. Here's $100, Tyree. Here's $100, Nick, that you're paying for this. But guess what? I can get you that Lexus for $50. And I can prove it to you by going to bankrate.com and telequote.com. And they can see this real time, Malcolm. And here's the other kicker. I tell them, and Melvin tell them, you don't even have to see us again. If you will do it yourself, these websites, and if you can spend an hour to 2 hours a week doing this, you'll be better off than 90% of the people that you ever come in contact with if you've never seen us again. So that right there gets them excited, because the people on Urban X are professionals. They're focused. They're committed. That's the quality. That's the other thing that I got to shout out to the organization. Man, like you were talking about your friends.
Right.
Everybody that we've met in the Urban X community are super sharp, tuned in to what life is really about. Forget all that frivolous stuff, the champagne and all this stuff. They're about helping themselves, helping their family. So having those kind of people makes it easier. So when you make that one move and show them you can get something that they were paying $100 for $50, don't decrease their quality of life.
Right.
Ooh, they get excited. We get excited, and we can't help but to keep working with them. I mean, it was people we were talking to in the consultation that was 30 minutes. We talked to them for an hour and 15 minutes because we were wanting to help them.
Right.
It wasn't about anything but about giving back. So that right there, and then you're able to show them again the money and then the impact for their generation. So when we're talking to people who had grandchildren who were 10 years of age, were newly getting ready to get married, and show them the basing up, and see, I'm so transparent that I would actually show people some of the stuff that I was actually doing in my own personal circle, and showing them when I was at their level that if they just did the same thing, you can't not get there, because these are principles of success.
A lot of people were blown away during the webinar when you showed some of your actual numbers. Like a lot of people were like, "Whoa!" Like I have no choice but to believe them, because a lot of, especially in the financial sector and on YouTube, there's a lot of charlatans out there. There's a lot of people who just sell stuff and they have really no business doing it and they don't know what they're talking about. So when they saw you, and like you said, you don't have to see me again. Just if you're gonna do this by yourself, do it. A lot of people took to that and they appreciated it.
Yeah, that's the most important part, is that when you come through any course, any seminar, see any instructor, can you go forward by yourself if you are already built that foundation, that you are disciplined, you're motivated, and you have a plan.
Right.
That's a great seminar. That's a great webinar. That's a great person, because that's generally how most people work that are professionals and are focused on having a better quality of life. They just need to know what they don't know, how to do it, and how to apply it, and what are the access to the resources that are feasible and affordable for them.
Right.
And so what we have been doing is being able to show them how they can take excess payments, put it into a system at a 3rd, 4th grade level, and move forward through the Family Finance 101 booklet. Then we've been able to show some people that were able to actually start where they already had the Family Finance Foundation together and take them to a program called the 3 Steps to Success, which is basically putting them in position like your brother to acquire real estate, acquire businesses, and then get the tax advantages. So that was refreshing too. So I was meeting people at all different levels, and we have a model that says, we build financial independence one solution at a time. It's not cookie cutter, right, but the principles are universal.
Hello, my name is Shirley, and today I just had my first free session with DJ about my financial independence. In today's session, we spoke about how I can pay off my mortgage early, how I can best utilize my 401k in the future, and how I can become debt-free. I am so passionate about moving forward because DJ has the expertise and the knowledge, and he's passionate as well. I look forward to working with him and accomplishing my goals of financial freedom. Thank you, DJ. I'm ready to live that pom-pom life.
Cool. So, let's tell the people that missed the actual webinar what we're going to be providing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, what the webinar provides and what we're excited about is, number one, provides them with a financial encyclopedia, what I call the financial Bible, okay? And what that gives you is 136 principles of financial success. These are universal principles that are common knowledge to people in our industry, like the Dave Ramseys, the Susie Ormans, the Robert Kiyosaki's, but it's not common knowledge to you, even though you're a college graduate, well-read, read some financial books, but it's still not common knowledge because you don't do it on an everyday basis, like I don't do media on an everyday basis.
Right.
So the first thing, you're going to get this book like an encyclopedia, and you can literally open it up and just say, hey, how do I refinance my house? But most importantly, why should I refinance my house? When is the optimum time to do it? Just that one booklet and breaking down how it works, you can sit down with a professional. And we had a person in our group that had paid something like $12,000 in closing costs that should only pay like $6,000. But it was wrapped into the loan, so the money didn't physically come out of their hand.
Right.
So they didn't see any pain from it. But when we looked at it and said, well, you know what? If you didn't pay this, your mortgage could have been that. So we're actually refinancing that person out of that deal in the next 60 days.
Wow.
And we took them on bankrate.com and showed them they had good credit. They had something like 680. I said, if we get you to 720, look at the difference of the interest rates. It went from 5.75 down to 4.2%.
Wow.
That 1.25% interest rate knocked off 9 years of their loan, and it would also drop their payment by $150. So that's $1,400. No, that's actually $1,800 a year, Malcolm.
Right.
Times 30. That's $54,000. But because of the rule of 72, because money at a 7% return doubles every 10 years, that actually turns out to be almost $150,000.
Wow.
That one move.
Wow.
So that's what they'll get in the class first, and they'll get the book, right? Then they'll get the actual webinar in itself. They'll actually go through the class in little segments, or what we call vignettes. Each segment of the course, which you and I went through, is about 5 to 10 minutes. And then the real hard lifting stuff about just financing and investing, that's about 15, 20 minutes. So that's when they talk about investing in your future. And what I talk about are the 5 rules of investing. And guess what? Every person that I talked to did not pay themselves first. Now, we had about 70% of them that were corporate, employees that had the 401k.
Right.
But my thing was paying yourself first was that Roth IRA, that emergency fund.
Right.
Knocking down that consumer debt. So, and setting it up on automatic payments through the first 8-10 days of the month, like a bill. Nobody was doing that because they didn't know how. But they were having money taken out for their 401k.
Right.
They were having money taken out for their health insurance. And I said, well, what are you working for? And I said, guess what? Reason why I could ask you that, because when I started my first company, White Glove Immaculate Services, which was a cleaning company, I didn't do it. And when I took it to 7 figures, and then when I lost the business, I was like, wait a minute. I was making all this money. Where is my bank account that got 6-7 figures in it? It wasn't, because I violated the rule of pay yourself first. Now, I did have some little savings investment too, but I didn't fully fund my pay yourself first, my emergency fund, blah, blah, blah. But after I did that wrong the first time, it's the saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Ever since then, guess what I've been doing? Every first 5 days of the month, we pay our Roth IRAs, we pay our emergency fund, we pay our insurance annuity policies with that first check. That is impactful. So you'll get that in the webinar itself, okay? Then you get the most important part, is you get to get a free complimentary consultation. You get to talk with Melvin, Lisa Shebar, Paul Bax, who's our accountant. And then, matter of fact, if you like me, you get to sit down and talk with me for a complimentary 30 minutes. That's a value in of itself that we charge anywhere from $150 to $350 an hour. And just from that one consultation, because you sent us that budget sheet, we give you a budget sheet that they fill out and you answer that survey, and you've done it. And instead of doing administrative stuff, going through your box, your shoe box with your receipts and everything, you got all that stuff on the page, and we're able to get right into the surgery and give you a financial, physical that will help you for the next 12 months. So you get all of that typically in a corporate environment with airports, YMCAs, Federal Reserve Bank that I've worked with, that we charge anywhere from $199 to $599 for that course, and you get it for a penny of $99. And we actually done it cheaper for you at the $59.
And this, so the price you're talking about is the webinar we already completed, but that'll be available to them.
Yep, that's actually correct. Because what we're going to provide here is we're going to give them the actual recap that they can get, and they can watch it anytime they want. It won't be live, but it'll be a recording. And I'm actually going to give them the corporate version, which is me actually talking over the slides, where it goes through nice and slow without the animation like we did in the live webinar.
Right.
It'll be clear, concise, no audio challenges like we had the first time, which we came back and did the second time.
Right.
So they're going to get that from this follow-up. They're going to get the book. It'll be sent to them digitally.
Right.
They'll get the financial worksheet, which gives you the analysis of your household, which basically looks like, let's see here. So they'll get this right here, Malcolm. Oh, I'm gonna put the BP. So this is the financial improvement worksheet. So as you go through the class, Malcolm,
right,
on one side it says household needs, and on the left side, which is your right side, it says complimentary consultations. So it's like the grocery store. So if your mom said, hey, Malcolm, go get me some milk and eggs, grocery store's got millions of products in it.
Right.
You just go all the way to the back, get the milk and eggs. So as we're going through the model on your own time, because it's automated, you can say, oh, you know what? I need to know how to buy a car the right way. You can go right to that slide, go to the financial improvement worksheet, check that off, give us a call or email us, and we'll give you a complimentary consultation, no extra charge.
So that is a lot of value for $59.99, right? Is that the price?
Yep. That's the price. That's the price that it's going to roll out to do, because we saw that was the value add, and we want to make it available and affordable for everybody. Here's the thing I'm also excited about. A lot of people had young children similar age to what I have, and we showed them another program called Start Small, Watch It Grow. Actually teaches children as young as 7 years of age how to buy dividend stocks. And I think you talked to my young son,
Crusher,
and I think you would say he's pretty good at stocks.
Yeah, definitely.
So we were able to start an opportunity for the people in the X-pereince community that they could start enrolling in the Start Small, Watch It Grow program, which is 5 weeks of basic financial education at a 6-7 year age, but it doesn't exclude people in our age group. Because if you don't know,
right,
that's where to start. Is just like, Dr. Seuss, one step at a time, because guess what? These dividend stocks are residual based, and you can pick them right, pay you for the rest of your life. And that was another thing that people didn't understand, how residual income could impact them. They knew what residual income was,
right,
but they didn't know how slowly it builds up, and then all of a sudden it becomes into like an anthill. And a lot of people want to get things done yesterday.
Right.
But when I was able to show some people, hey, we started investing 7 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And then I was able to show them my children started 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and how their portfolio just started growing by putting $50 a month aside. It turns out to be a lot, man, in a small period of time. So they're getting all of that. They're getting the foundation of a network that what I think is going to be good is that we start to have like a little community of people who have gone through the course that can talk and network with each other. Because here's what I found out that was even more exciting. We had a couple of young professionals and a couple of mid-tier professionals who were doing the same thing, that if they had the chance to network with each other, it would actually give them exponential growth. Plus, they would get somebody that they could bounce ideas off of.
Oh, wow.
The challenges that they go through. Kind of like how people do on Facebook.
Right.
They have these communities.
LinkedIn
I
and things
thought
like that.
This probably would be a great thing, that if we started that and built a community where they can come into the community on your platform and just bounce off questions and projects and things that they do. Because some of the things from an investing standpoint, real estate and businesses, it don't have to be local. As long as the principles, the system, the foundation, and the team is solid, you can invest from California to New York to Canada to London, and get you outside of your box.
That's good stuff. So what's next? What's next for the first webinar was family finances. So what will be the next step?
Yeah, so the next step would be what's called investing. The rules of investing. And the rules of investing is introducing you how stocks actually work, how dividend stocks actually work, how mutual funds actually work, finding out what your discretionary income is that you can afford to invest. Because after you've done the family finance and you are in that struggle to success mode, now you want to get exponential growth with your money. And you want to get the money that I call play money. So if I make $100, and out of that $100, I have 10 that I could just waste, that if I lose it, it don't affect my life. I need to know how to make that money multiply itself. So that rule of investing and finding networks to be able to invest in will be the next step for you. So it's kind of like Family Finance 202. And then from 202, then once you got that rolling and you start building up assets, then the ultimate vehicle is the one that goes on the platform of creating solid passive income, solid assets that will give you the financial independence. Where I'm always constantly talking about living that pom-pom lifestyle, plenty of money, peace of mind, where you can take yourself, like you, Malcolm, and say, you know what? I'm building this platform called X-pereince and Momi Publishing. Now I'm branching out and I'm doing embroidery. Now I'm branching out, I'm doing caps. Now I'm doing, bags and stuff like that. So that's another stream of income, but you have to have the ability to put that stream of income into a system that's incorporated.
Right.
that's protected, and things of that nature, just that are out there hustling, and you're just working for a job.
Right.
So now what we're able to do is take that young professional to make them take that skill set and turn it into a business model that can be self-moving by itself, and putting the construct together. Because actually we have two guys that we're working with. They're actually starting to buy some franchise.
Ooh, okay.
And they've shown us their plan, and it gives you access to investors like us. Because 4 times a year, my team looks for investments to invest in. What better way to invest in people like us that are in our own system?
Right.
I showed some people a commercial real estate platform from a multi-millionaire who's worth $100 million. I showed them some small private investors that do real estate across the country. And I showed them some people who actually do just small startups. But we have to make sure that you're qualified to be on that boat.
Peace, fam. This is Tyreek. Just shouting out DJ, the money coach. He helped me today. We spoke, and he explained how I could refinance 5.75% to 4.14% and save from $150 to $300 per month on my mortgage, and knocking off 1 to 9 years off of my mortgage over the lifetime of the mortgage. In addition to that, I would be able to take the money that I saved and per month and allocate that to paying off debt that I have. Appreciate that. Essentially, I'm knocking off multiple birds with one stone. Kudos to you, sir, and your team, and I'm looking forward to continued business with you.
Because you could be like Adrian Peterson, make $100 million, but actually be at first grade. Just because you make the money don't mean you know how money makes money for it.
Right.
So, does that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
So that's the step that's next. And making sure that you fully have the family finance one-on-one operating and functioning on all cylinders. Don't come through, do a budget, and don't get the plan for yourself 30 days. And then don't get the plan 6 months and 12 months. Because really, family finance 101 is not solidified till you see a 12-month picture of how everything should be as you made these corrections, of these modifications, improvement in your life.
Okay.
Because you can slip back. Because every year, you're going to have 1 or 2 major events that happen to yourself. One could be an exciting event, or one could be a detrimental event. And how do you respond to that event? And how does your team help you hedge that loss or magnify that gain? That's the important part that we miss in the application, because a lot of people are ignorance on fire. Everybody that's come through the course excited. But you know what? That excitement wanes in 60 days.
Right.
90 days when it's get that grind, then I just don't want to do it, because now that's the commitment level.
Right.
So that's the road that we have to be on. So next with us in terms of platform is, one, come back and do another live webinar.
Definitely.
Because there's people who have thought about what they saw us talking about.
Right.
And now that there's been people that gone through the program, because we've got probably 6, 7 video testimonials of people like them that can talk to them from their perspective and say, is this Shanola or is this the real goat?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's the key. That's the key piece. That is what is our next step with Urban Excellence, outside of them getting the evergreen model. But we're going to come back and do another live, and then we're going to open up the doors to have these people come, because now Melvin and I and you, we have more experience of what to expect. Because the level of experts is higher than what we expect. So now we can bring more to the table. Because I was really thinking, to be honest with you, that a lot of these people were not going to be educated enough, or they weren't going to have the incomes enough. But I undershot that, and I apologize. But now that I know that most of the people in the community are typical professionals that we work with, we're going to bring them more of the real, meat and potato, because they're ready for it. And then I want to be able to help their children who are 12, 15, 18, 20 years of age, get them into that start small, watch it grow, and start helping them increase their investments right now. Because here's what I can't stand. I can't stand somebody telling me they just bought their kids some Nikes, some Adidas, some Puma. They got the new AP, EP, album, somebody, but they don't have no money set aside for their kid. But they find out a way to be master consumers.
Right.
So I want to change that paradigm that if you do have the Nike stock. If you do have the EP, get the Warner Brothers stock. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And now you can get excited every time you see it because you're an owner. That's the next step. That's what I'm excited about. And I think those testimonials are going to articulate that, and they're going to say more about what the help out there and the gratitude to you and your dad for even have the courage to even, allow me to come on your platform.
Right. We appreciate you. Thank you. Definitely. So, do you have any last words for the people who are watching and for the people who are still on the fence about, paying for these services and even, just watching the webinar?
Yeah, I would say, here's my question to you. Here's where the rubber meets the road. Do you want us to tell you what you want to hear, or do you want us to tell you what you need to know? And a lot of times, the most painful scenario is being told what you need to know, because you can't grow without some form of pain or some form of work.
Right.
So those people who are out there that may be skeptical or may be reluctant, may not think they have the resources, here's what I can tell you. If you just divide, 60 into 30, that's $2 a day. If you're buying Red Bull, Coca-Cola, coffee, which a lot of people do, or some type of snack, and it's getting you down the road to be financially independent and create multi-wealth generational for your family, then don't come to this course. But if that's not you, jump in this course or go jump into one like it and get started, because if you think you have achieved the ultimate financial success, guess what? Then you need to be in the succession planning mode to deal with professionals to handle high net worth individuals.
Right.
And if you think that the people you're working with at your company have your best interests in mind, then you're fooling yourself. Okay? So they say, a parachute only works when you open it up. Don't jump out the window without the parachute. That's what I would say to them. This is a fun, fast-paced program. It's community-based, and we're giving it away practically for nothing. So I would say, check it out. It's satisfaction guaranteed. We haven't had anybody that was unsatisfied with the program. And the only challenge has been is that we had more people than we expected to be working with, but we've got that covered now because we've got more people on our team that been with us that are available to work with them. So I'm excited about it, man. I think, again, we need it more so than ever. Like I said at the beginning of this follow-up interview,
Right.
is that you wouldn't have been able to tell me that I could have went back into the future 20 years ago when I started this program almost, that today it was even more relevant and more important because of the trappings of student loans, the trapping of us living in a hyper-competitive society, and the trappings of image managing. It permeates throughout our society that you may roll up and have a nice-looking whip, apparently a nice-looking house, but you are broke. And if you are financially independent and you are living the pom-pom lifestyle, you need to come on and share your story and help us help them.
Right.
Because that's where significance comes in. So I would help them become significant while we're working together, and that creates a win-win-win. Because at the end of the day, if we don't have a legacy of giving back and helping people grow in our community, what value is it that I'm a billionaire and you're a billionaire, but they're still suffering in silence?
Right.
At the end of the day, let's promote financially independent people for every person that in our community can make six figures debt-free and pass a legacy of hundreds of thousands of dollars to their kids versus passing, the hat at the funeral, or their items getting collected and being sold for pennies on the dollar because they didn't have any real assets set aside. They just had this, consumable
Stuff.
doodad, what Robert Kiyosaki talks about.
Right.
That's what I would leave with them, and I would tell them, hey, we're going to rock this thing out. I think we got a date. Can we tell them about the date?
Not yet. We want to get a couple things straight, but soon, everybody, soon. Cool.
So yeah, that would be it. I would say check out the the interviews that we've done. Check out the testimonials.
We'll be playing.
Check out the testimonials. And I mean, right now, man, since the last webinar, which was on the 15th, I have been working around the clock with 15, 20 people.
Right.
So if that don't tell them something,
No.
I don't know what else to say. There's a last saying I have. If you don't understand this at the level that we're sharing with you, your wood is wet. And what happens to wet wood? It sinks. But I do want you to live a pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money, peace of mind, and have the ability to share your time with your children and your grandchildren and whomever else you want to do, because that gives you freedom of control. And Denzel Washington said in American Gangster, do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do. And that's all I got to say for him. And we're humble and we're grateful and we're available 24/7, 365 to help impact this community.
So with that being said, thank you again for joining us, DJ. Thank you for everybody who watched. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. The information of what we just talked about will be in the description below. And yeah, peace.
Peace.
You know what I mean?